Oh, I've got to start the nav, see where we're going. It's not told me anything. No, I don't want that yet.
Please follow the B2079 for 5 miles.
Well, here we are. Oh, somebody's coming close behind me. I know what I'll do. That was a bit of fun. Anyway, we're videoing. It's the first video I've done since I got the car. So obviously we picked the car up. We've done about 1,000 miles in the car, actually 1,114 miles. So it's the first time I've done anything in the car, done any recording, and here we are. So, right, the purpose of these videos is to give you a bit of an idea of what it's. Where am I going now? Where's my map? My map's disappeared. Oh, straight on. Yeah, now the purpose of these videos is to give you an idea of what it's like to live with this car. So this is actually my car, as you saw before. I picked it up and it's my car, and I just really want to tell you what it's like to live with. So I'm just going to record musings on an Audi A6 bi-turbo. I've got Rob here. Rob's the film producer and director, and he's actually going to, well, he's the expert. It's a bit wobbly there, Rob, isn't it? So, musings on an Audi A6 Black Edition Avant 2016 3-litre bi-turbo. Right. One of the main reasons I got the car is the noise it makes. Don't know if you could hear that, but that is the sound actuator, and it makes it sound like it's a big V8 or something like that, but it's not. It's only a V6 diesel, but it makes it sound really cool. Now, you don't have to have that on all the time. You can have that turned off. You can have comfort mode. You've got various different modes, and it's on in dynamic mode, but I've set the individual mode, and I'll show you the individual mode at another time, but I've got it on individual mode at the moment. Basically, it's comfort mode, and I have just made the sound the more dynamic mode, so it's just the sound. It tends to kick in, it seems to kick in at about 1800 revs, that sound, that roar, that throaty roar, and it sounds just as good inside as it does outside, and vice versa. So that's one of the reasons I bought the car. I know it sounds a bit silly to buy a car for that reason, but that is one of the reasons, just because it makes you feel like it's proper sporty. Oh, yesterday, for the first time, not yesterday, 2 days ago, for the first time, I tried launch control. Yeah, that's a grin maker, if ever there was one. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You see people, hear people talking about launch control, normally on Top Gear and stuff like that, but it really is good fun. It's, I think, the most efficient way to get away quickly and at traffic lights, and it surprises other people that are in the car. Yeah, my family were not expecting that, I have to be honest. But yeah, really good, recommend it. Maybe we'll try that at some point, I don't know. At the moment I'm just driving. Like I say, it's the first time I've been out in the car since I got it on a long trip, and yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. I'll talk a little bit more as the journey goes on. We're running out of daylight, we've only got about an hour left, and we'll be getting onto motorway probably in about 10 minutes as well. I'm not going to be able to do any really fast anything because it's pretty close to rush hour, but I can talk to you about the car and the things I like about it, things I don't like about it. There's a few, not many, but there's a few. A lot of people test drive these cars, obviously, and the press, they get to test drive these cars for a few hours, maybe for a few days if they're lucky. I'm going to do it for a few years and tell you what I like and dislike over that period of time. I won't be doing it every day. It's not going to be a daily or weekly or monthly thing. It's going to be an occasional thing. But I probably will do a full review style video at some point, going into details of the 0 to 60 time and the power and all of that sort of stuff. All the statistics, all the numbers, really, at some point. But I think the important thing is to do with how it makes you feel and what it's like long term to to have this car. Oh, Lollipop Man. I'm going to stop for him. You should always stop for Lollipop Men. Well, if they're wanting to let people cross the road. If not, they probably don't need to stop. What are you doing, Rob? Like you lost something. We lost the lens cap. No worries, mate, no worries. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, about what happiness is and how a lot of people buy things because they think things will bring them happiness, and those things can be cars, houses, jewelry, watches, whatever. I guess people decide whatever's important, laptops, phones, all that sort of stuff. And they said that true happiness does not come from owning things. True happiness comes from experiences. Now, you could argue that owning a car like this is owning a thing, but I think it's not so much owning the car or having the car that is exciting. It's the experiences it gives you. I have to be honest and say I feel I have an experience with this car every single day. I do, honestly. And if it's just the way it makes me feel getting into it, if it's the really solid clump of the door closing, which is lovely, by the way, or yes, okay, so there is something about getting into a nice car like this and people looking at it and people thinking, ooh, he must be doing well, or whatever, then I guess if people want to think that, then people can think that. I still think ultimately if anybody wants to own a car like this, they can. It might mean they've got to get another job or something like that, or work harder. I've got the auto parking brake on at the moment, so I'm stopped behind the bus and I've got the auto parking brake. I love the electronic parking brake. It means I don't need to do anything, just press the accelerator and off we go. And you've got the choice of auto parking brake, so when it senses that the car has stopped, it will automatically put it on. Or you can have it on manual, where you have to actually turn the parking brake on or off by pressing the button. If you actually pull it on and the parking brake is on, you can just pull away without taking it off. You don't have to ever take it off. If you've got it on auto, or if you've not got it on auto, you don't ever have to take the parking brake off. One thing I found with this, it's got the auto stop start thing. I've not really got on with it. I'm not a big fan of the auto stop start just because it freaks me out every time it stops. But on this car it has to be a certain temperature, and you have to, there's lots of different things that have to be right before it will work. So when I think it's going to work, it doesn't, and sometimes it works when I least expect it. So I'm not that on board with the auto stop start. I have to be perfectly honest, Audi. I think it's the temperature thing, is so that if it's really, really cold, you don't want the engine stopping when it might take a millisecond longer to start. I could be wrong. One thing I do like about the car is how quiet it is. We're tootling along at 30 miles an hour, 25 in a 30 limit. Let me turn the fan down a little bit. I've got it on that high anyway. But it's really quiet. This is quite a bumpy road. You might be able to tell by the camera jiggling up and down. But yeah, it's quiet. It doesn't even seem to be a rattle or a squeak or anything. And if there is, you hear it straight away, and it generally is something in the glove box.
Please turn left after 400 yards and continue to follow the A229.
A sat-nav lady. She's not the friendliest, I have to be honest. But she's alright, quite informative. Tells me when to turn left. Oh, I'm going to get behind the bus then. Oh, there is something I want to show you that says to me attention to detail and quality. And yeah, we're stopping at some traffic lights up here. I'm going to show you. So in the back, you've got. Do you remember when cars used to have lighters? When people used to smoke in cars, many years ago. And if you didn't have the lighter there, you used to have something covering it or a hole there. So yeah, let me grab this now and show you what it is. So this is the thing that's not. It looks like a lighter, but it's not a lighter. This is just the cap, but it's finished in the same thing as all the other controls, which I think is great attention to detail.
And then follow the A229.
I find that when I'm relying on sat-nav, I forget that I can actually read signs. Yeah, I was quite surprised on the way, just on a long trip, like I say, I think it was 100 and something miles. And it was mainly motorway stuff. Got 39.7 miles to the gallon. Which might not sound that amazing. However, this is a 3-litre V6 high-performance engine. It's got 320 horsepower. It's got a whole bunch of Newton meters of torque. I think it's like 500 and something. I'm not really too sure how to explain torque.
Please take the second exit.
Do you know how to explain torque? So joining the M20.
Now turn left.
Alright. Why do you buy an Audi? Now there's a question. There is a question. Why do you buy one? Why do you buy one like this? Big fat A6 with a big fat... Oh, the police are coming. Do you think we should hide the camera? Too late. Oh, I don't think they're interested in us. Because I'm only doing 60 miles an hour, so... Not the 155 that the car can do. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, why'd you buy an Audi? It's an interesting question. And a question I mulled over in my head many, many times. And the first time I bought it, the other one, the old one, it took me 3 years to decide to get it because I couldn't really ever justify it. Just going to change this to efficiency mode. I'm changing the car to efficiency mode. Just because when I've got it on the burbling, rumbling mode, that's fine when you're around town, but when you're on the motorway, it just burbles and mumbles a bit too much. Does it mumble? Burbles. And it just becomes a bit irritating. So I turn it off on the motorway. It's nice to have the option to do that. So yeah, why did I buy an Audi? Well, I always loved the brand. But I think the thing that did it for me, that sounds a bit funny, but there was a TV programme that had, what was his name? Trevor Eve in it. And he was he a coroner? What's the name of the TV programme? It's coroners doing stuff, cutting people open and discovering, who did crimes and stuff.
Like an autopsy?
Yeah, an autopsy thing, yeah. What's it called? No, I can't remember either. I've written it down somewhere as well.
Was it a programme?
It was years ago. But anyway, Trevor Eve played this chief autopsy dude, and he had an A6 and he turned up at crime scenes in this A6, and I just thought, he always looked quite smart, and he had an overcoat if it was winter, and I just thought, yeah, he's looks quite smart, it's quite a nice car, I quite like that image. And so I think that was part of why I bought it. I just thought, yeah, he's sophisticated. I want to be that sophisticated person. And I just said sophisticated in a very unsophisticated kind of way. But that was part of it. So Audi product placement worked there for you. Well done. Well done. I don't know how you decide that chief autopsy dude is your target demographic, but maybe you didn't. Maybe they just wanted an executive car and they put it on there. Oh, it's got a little countdown of when I've got to turn. Didn't see that. Oh, that's reminded me of another thing that I like about this car. And it's this not being touchscreen. Everybody's going touchscreen now. And I've never liked it because you get greasy finger marks on things, and then when it's turned off, and sometimes when it's turned on, you can still see the greasy finger marks. So I really like that you don't have to touch the screen, and the MMI is so easy to use. If you're looking at quality, yes, there is quality. I have to say this cabin is lovely to be in. Would you agree, Rob?
Yes.
Rob nods. But it really is. And I think if you look at all the car reviews and things on YouTube, and if you look at all the car shows, they all say that Audi just do a fantastic job of interiors and the quality is great and all the rest of it. And they do, and it is. You can argue quality all you like, but I still think there's something about the badge. Yeah, I think a lot of people, but I say the majority of people, buy an Audi or a BMW or a Mercedes because it is an Audi or a BMW or a Mercedes. But then they try and come up with justification, I think. Quality being one of them. Now, the quality is still a very good justification. It's a good reason to have a car like this. But I think people use it more as a justification for themselves. A bit hot there, Rob. Oh, Rob's a bit hot. But you've got four zone climate control. Oh, just testing the rumble strip there while I'm talking to you. 4-zone climate control. You've got 2 zones in the back, 2 zones in the front. Not the biggest fan of that Audi, but I understand your problem. I'm not too sure how you can actually make it any easier. It's all very nice, but it is a little bit fiddly. When you've got 1-zone climate control, as you do in normal cars, I guess, and it's not really climate control, it's just the heating and the air conditioning and all that. You've got one wheel that says how fast you want the fan to go, normally got 4 settings. You've got one wheel that says if you want it hot or cold, and you've got one wheel that tells you what direction the airflow is pointing in. And that's fine, that's easy. You just set it, job done. But when you've got 4-zone climate control, what do? You have 4 lots of 3 dials, so you've got 12 dials, 2 in the 2 sets in the back, 2 sets in the front. Imagine if you had 6 dials over there, that'd be quite confusing. So what we've got is this dial here, normally just deals with temperature, as you can see, but then if you press this button, then you're dealing with the fan, and that comes up on your screen as well as down here in this little window. And you press that button, and that's the direction that you want the airflow to be in. Again, that comes up on the screen there as well as down here. So you've got to press a button to decide what action you want that dial to take. So it's a bit fiddly. It was fiddly at the beginning when I just got the car, because if I wasn't wearing my glasses, I couldn't really see. Am I pressing the fan? Am I pressing the airflow thing? I couldn't really tell, so that was a bit pain. But once you get used to it, it's okay. It's like anything. Once you get used to how a car works, it's easy. But yeah, a bit fiddly. That's just one of the little things I don't like. There's very little I don't like about this car. Yes, I wanted to be seen to be driving a car like this. It was nice. But I think what I alluded to earlier is it gives me an experience every time I get into it, and I really appreciate that experience. I still get that little flutter of excitement every time I unlock the car to get into it. And then you press the accelerator, you press the start button, and then you press the accelerator to move, and it's lovely. It's nice. Even if you're not making the most of the 320 horsepower or the 500 torques, Newton meters of torque, or whatever, it's just a nice car to drive. You know, this car is exactly the same as a car, a 2-litre diesel version of this. The only thing that's different is the engine. I was looking at the 3-litre 272 horsepower engine, and decided that I wanted the 320 horsepower engine, but the main reason for that was the noise. It's the sound actuator, and it just makes it feel so much sportier. It makes it sound so much sportier. I had to get it. We're on the M26 at the moment. It's quite a nice smooth road most of the time, although I can see the camera jiggling around a bit. Nice Jaguar XJ for when I retire. No, I don't think I'd go for a Jaguar, particularly if they've got the touch screen. I don't like the touch screen. Oh, there's the sun again, look at that. Clean the windscreen a little bit. Oh, it's got the washers for the lights as well. I think it sprays that every X number of times, maybe every 5 times, or if you keep your fingers on the spray for 2 seconds, I think it then sprays the headlamps as well. Oh, just had a message. Please refill washer fluid. Oh, it's got a little icon that tells you to fill up your water bottle. And I think it actually tells you how much is left in it. Then I'll have to use some and see if that goes down. Oh, that's nice.
It's also telling you you're beautiful.
It is also telling me I'm beautiful. Thank you very much. That's actually the song that is playing at the moment if I was to turn the volume up. Well, I think it's paused it and it'd only start playing it again. When you turn the volume all the way down, it just stops whatever you're listening to. Well, I've not mentioned that. I've got there's a CD slot, but who uses CDs these days? It can stream from your phone, but what I do, I've got saved all the CDs I've collected over the years onto the computer, and then moved them all onto an SD card, and now I just put it in an SD slot right there. There are 2 SD slots, but one is used, SD1 is used for the navigation software, so that's in there all the time, so you've really only got one SD card. However, at the time of filming, Rob and I were looking for SD cards the other day, and we saw one for 128 gigs. That's quite big. That'd be a lot of music. How many albums do you reckon that would be, Rob? That'd be a lot.
I'd say probably like 80 megs for an album.
So 80 megs, and how many megs in a gig?
1,000.
No, you can do more than that. Oh yeah, no you can't. No, I was talking, yeah, so 80, so that's 80, so 10 albums would be... It's quite hard to do maths when you're driving. It's a lot. Well, this one is, I don't know what this one is actually. Let's have a look. What's that? This is only 8 gigs. And I've got, not all, I think I got a quarter through our collection. And I don't know, I must have at least 50 or 60. Oh. Don't really want it to play. This is the black edition. I think I mentioned that at the beginning of this journey. I actually wanted the S-Line because I preferred the trim, the interior trim being the aluminium finish, brushed aluminium finish, and it had the chrome grille at the front. But the black edition comes with this shiny piano black, and that's on the outside as well. The grille is shiny piano black, and all the trim in here is shiny piano black, which I'm not offended by. And I ended up going for that because even though I wanted to downgrade, if you like, to the S-Line instead of the black edition, I still wanted the wheels that are on here, and they would have cost £2,500 as an option. Which I thought was a bit excessive, really. So I just went for this, got the extra things. It also comes with Bose speakers, the black edition. So you get upgraded speakers, you get nice. These wheels, I'll show them to you when we do an outside video. They're 20-inch, and they are the similar design to, well, the same design effectively as the ones you get on the RS6. So it makes this look very, very sporty. And the 20-inch wheels are huge. Huge. So if you are considering buying one of these, so far at 1,000 miles, I'd say, yeah, go for it. One thing I would say, I swore after the last car, the last Audi I had 19-inch wheels. And I swore I'd only get wheels smaller than that in the future. The reason being, the car seemed to tramline quite badly when the wheels would wear, when the tyres would wear down. And so you'd get in, there'd be a groove in the road or something like that, and it would sort of follow that groove a bit more than it should really. And so I figured out that it's just the size of the wheels that made it do that. At least I think that's what it was. And then I go and get a car that's got 20-inch wheels, so even bigger. But it doesn't seem to be as bad, but that's because obviously the tyres are brand new, I'm guessing. I'll let you know. I'll let you know if it gets worse. It might not. The tyres on the old car, the 19-inch wheels, sometimes the tyres were costing me up to £200 each. That's a consideration. Because I think they were a softer compound as well, just because they were sportier, so grippier, so therefore wore down quicker. And yeah, £200 each. It was quite a lot, really. So I didn't really like that. But apparently, there's another XJ. Look, on an Audi A4. Yeah, I didn't like that. So, but apparently the cost of rubber has come down, and therefore tyre prices have come down as well. So I did a quick search before I bought this car, and they are about £160 each for these ones. So still expensive. Alright, well it's 4:10 now, it's starting to get a bit dull. Traffic's starting to increase a little bit on the M25, so I should be concentrating a bit more on the road and talking to you.
In 7 miles, slow traffic on the M25.
So I'm going to leave it there for today. And this woman keeps disturbing me. It's been much nicer without sat-nav lady interrupting me all the time. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there for today. Tell you a little bit more about the car very, very soon. See you soon. Bye.